The 1980s saw the star power from the USA and our local heroes here in New Zealand take centre stage.
Davy Jones, a good spot, a former winner of this event. Well, the best two resident New Zealand chances would be with Kenny Smith and the Auckland youngster Paul Radisich.
And a young bloke from Brazil who won the 1982 Grand Prix in the same year that he subbed in for Nigel Mansell in Formula One. Americans then dominated. Experienced racers Davy Jones and Ross Cheever took 2 races each, Dean Hall winning another.
In the late 80s and 90s, we had adopted Formula Atlantic, which in New Zealand and in Australia was called Formula Pacific. For obvious reasons, it was essentially the same category. And Formula Atlantic was a big deal in North America, and as a result, a lot of drivers from North America came to New Zealand to race, and there were some very good ones who went on to win the New Zealand Grand Prix. One name in particular that I remember is Davy Jones.
The New Zealand Grand Prix for 1987, won by the New York man, Davy Jones.
Who was a young kid, came here. He had raced Formula 3 in the UK with Ayrton Senna and Martin Brundle, and came out to New Zealand, and he was a star. And he came here a few times and never failed to impress the crowds, both with his driving and as a very personable fellow off the track.
You know, I was 19 years old. I was at our family home in upstate New York in the States, and I got a call from Graham to come to New Zealand. And next thing I know, it was over the holidays. Here I am, I'm flying an airplane halfway around the world to come over and to race for Graham Lawrence.
From the start, it was Jones who leapt into the lead from pole position, and that was the lead he was to hold until the end.
I've always said that the Formula Pacific car, Formula Atlantic as we know it in the States, the amount of power that the engine puts out, to the amount of downforce that you have with the ground effects, the grip level that you have with the tires, it's just the ultimate package to drive as a car. Racing against Kenny Smith and David Oxton and the likes, I mean, it's like, these guys are fast. The track was historic, it was bumpy, and you know, it was a good track.
The new lap record, what's your reaction to that? I believe you've knocked about 1/10 of a second off.
That's great. You know, I believe that I was a bit quicker than that in practice, and you have to break a record in the race, and I'm really pleased to hear that.
I didn't really know how big the New Zealand Grand Prix was until after I had won it, and as a racing driver, you know, you're here to come in and to wheel the car. Here I am as a 19-year-old kid, and being on television, being in the media like I was, and people recognizing you who you are, it was pretty cool. I mean, it was my first taste of stardom.
Our Formula Atlantic Pacific category ran for the entire 1980s, and by this time, Kiwis were well and truly on top in many years, with names such as Kenny Smith.
There's the flag for the man of the moment, Kenny Smith.
David Oxton, Dave McMillan, Steve Millen, and then came Paul Radisich, who arrived as a bit of a lightning bolt to shake up the old fellas.
Do you think you can get past Kenny?
I think so, yeah.
Here in Bay Park, you had a little contretemps with Paul Radisich, the young driver, New Zealand's great hope at the moment. Why is it that you dislike each other?
Well, it's not that we dislike each other, we're probably just as good of friends as anyone else, but at the same time as when he's on a track, he just gets a bit aggressive and thinks he's doing Formula 3 driving in Europe. Well, if he wants any of that carry on, you know, I'll give it back to him.
Basically, he couldn't get past, and I think it's just a little bit of sour grapes, really.
You know, I'm not going to take any nonsense from him. I mean, if he wants a clash or a wheel bang, well, I'll give him a wheel banging.
It was a big deal, like it meant something. New Zealand Grand Prix is one of the only, I think it's two of the only Grand Prix in the world outside Formula One, so it really meant everything. Well, the win in '88, Kenny was the guy chasing me all the way, and I just remember if I make one gear change, miss one gear change, that would be the end of it, and we managed to hold off. We started on pole, won the race. My dad had tried to win the Grand Prix for many years, and having him on the spanners and doing the engines, and it was a real team affair.
These were really the names that were the major attractions during most of that decade before Craig Baird and Greg Murphy came along to give Kiwis another bunch of names to cheer for.
The toughest bloke on the track was Paul Radisich. The toughest bloke off the track was Kenny Smith. if you screwed him over, he did threaten to stab me once. With a screwdriver, that wouldn't have been that pleasant, but he was a ripper bloke and we're very good friends now.